Principle 9, small and slow solutions. Slow and steady wins the race. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. We want everything now, don't we? We want it instantly. We want, and what's more, and I think this again is this is the thing that I think permaculture has to offer, which is of extraordinary value that people have not fully comprehended yet, is that the world is facing a huge and complex problems. Um, we've overinvested in an energy system that relies on fossilized energy, and we can't seem to get off it fast enough. Getting off it fast is going to disrupt everything else because we've built our food system, our transport systems, and everything on this sort of fossil fuel thing, and it's tearing our economy apart, and it's creating gross inequalities. How the hell do we get out of such a mess? The consequences of burning all of this carbon and burning all of this these stored hydrocarbons is completely altering the atmosphere. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has nearly doubled since the Industrial Revolution, 2 times. That has consequences that will have long-term, far-reaching consequences. We know, very well asserted from the climate change information and data, is that the planet still has a net warming effect until we can draw the carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere down to below 350 parts per million. What that means is we have to do some massive turnaround, or I see it as an evolutionary step. And the thing that people are getting wrong is the thought of how do you deal with an enormous and complex problem? And the answer is by unleashing thousands of small and slow solutions. You can't possibly know all of the complexities of the realities and the challenges that we face. We don't know in what order they're going to come. We're seeing floods and tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, and shifting sea currents, collapsing ecosystems. We can't pretend that we know how this is all going to unfold and the interconnectivity between those things. The pattern, the icon at the heart of small and slow solutions is the critical thing that we need to hold in mind and take away from this course and think about how to apply it is this represents the kind of spiral, Fibonacci spiral, a very simple but essential mathematical idea about how something builds on itself. And the metaphor that we want to use and think about in terms of how we respond to global problems is imagining challenging every single person on the planet to unleash their own small and slow solution. We begin to understand, if we've been paying attention to the course so far, exactly the manner and the processes of the damage that we've inflicted on living, our living planet Earth. And we can undo them and we can reverse those things back in the other direction. But to know exactly the right way to where to start and the right way to do it is, the truth is, we don't know. Yes, we can look to experts and plans, but the most important thing that we can do is that we can act. We begin now, we do something, and we start small. Because if you start small and you go wrong, is you can then correct your error. If you're doing something on a vast scale and you go wrong, then you've got a massive problem. There's a difference between a mistake and a learning opportunity, and the difference is scale. So let's make compost. If I said to anybody asked me, look, I don't know where to start, the world's, whatever, all of these problems, where to start, I'll tell you, make compost. There's carbon all around us, the leaves, the dead grasses and papers and cardboard. And in the West here, the waste stream is full of the stuff. The stubs and stalks from your maize cobs and the stones from fruits, the shells from nuts, it's everywhere. To get carbon to break down to be soil, you need to add just a little bit of nitrogen. And if you do it too much, it gets a bit smelly and icky. And if you don't put enough nitrogen, it doesn't really break down. So when you're learning how to create compost, you do it on a certain scale, because if it goes horribly wrong, all you've done is create, a bucket's worth of something smelly. And the way that you can fix it is add loads of carbon, right? So start small, simple things that you can rectify, and then let them teach you. Let that process teach you quickly, because we're going to have to scale up things fast. The best thing that we could achieve through permaculture, I honestly believe, is coordinated global response to the crises that we're in. And we can all begin by doing things that we don't need permission to do, or we don't need resources to do. We can all make compost. You can pee on leaves, you can whatever, explore that. Obviously, we're going to into detail in this on the course, but this is the principle um, of how to do big change, is by unleashing millions of ideas and allow the best ones to move forward into their own momentum and allow them to grow, and maybe merge together with other ones that weren't such functionally effective ideas, but maybe still had something within them. So this is how we learn and collaborate. Think about how this works as a design sequence, from patterns to detail, from integrate to segregate, to now slow and small and slow solutions. We're winding our way around, exploring and finding the right steps. So here's some David Holmgren's words, edited a bit by me. Systems should be designed to perform functions at the smallest scale that is practical and energy efficient for that function. Human scale and capacity should be the yardstick for a humane, democratic, and sustainable society. How wow! There's some good words there, and I want to just pause, actually, if I may. Systems should be designed to perform functions at the smallest scale that is practical and energy efficient for that function. Well, for a hot compost heap, that's 1 meter cubed. It doesn't really work if it's smaller than that. It doesn't generate enough heat. But if you've got a meter cube of compost, that's manageable. So you're doing something at a human scale capacity. You can turn it in 20 minutes or whatever. Human scale and capacity should be the yardstick for a humane, democratic, and sustainable society. Okay, so if we think of our African sort of village and think about how, from the previous pattern that we looked at, and how those individual cells represent individuals, but clustered together, they start to create community. Well, that community can't be of a greater scale such that you lose your own individuality within it. You lose your ability to shape it and to express your own individuality. Every one of those hut clusters in yesterday's picture was different. Um, that's the kind of society that we need. That's the kind of society that we're envisaging and trying to create and live and breathe through permaculture. We say small is beautiful. Small and slow solutions mean mistakes can be corrected and become learning opportunities. Starting small also allows for the design to evolve and grow in proportion. Incremental growth is much more sustainable and allows for learning and reinvestment. So look, the snail, when it's a little baby snail, its shell is a little baby shell. It's totally proportionate. It's not carrying around a huge shell that it might need later in life. It scales it up as it goes along. And as it's just growing on that leading edge, so does it rotate. And so the shell is always directly proportionate to the snail. It never has to carry around something it doesn't need. Interesting, right? Permaculture designs must fulfill their function and return a surplus. The reinvestment of surplus allows for incremental growth. This is the key to successful design. Start small, allow growth, and then seek to replicate the best examples. The proverb, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, is a reminder of one of the disadvantages of size and excessive growth. While the proverb, slow and steady wins the race, is one of many that encourage patience while reflecting on, on a common truth in nature and society. Well, this is really telling us how to do it, and I think that these second set 6 principles are pretty awesome. Um, it's yeah, okay. I'm going to stop because this is the introduction. Just for fun, well, forever. For the image I thought I'd put behind me to help remember, to help fix this in your mind, but is this is Faith, a student in Uganda, and she's holding the book that we created a couple of years ago, Small and Slow Solutions, and we've got a flock of 1 million birds, a rumination of birds. Was it? Yeah, on the cover as a metaphor for as individuals we feel insignificant. When we work together in coordinated action, we become highly, highly, highly significant. And I think that permaculture gives us the ability to have coordinated action because we all try to operate within the same functioning principles and ethics and design tools framework, but we're all applying those ideas individually in our own localities in a way in which meets our needs and speaks to the needs of our community. So we get everybody doing the same, but we're in the same process at the same time. We're creating uniqueness everywhere. This is how we turn the ship around, folks. This is what we have to, how the thinking that is unleashed, that we're ready to, this is it. This is what we have to do.